Hey guys, good morning. Dindo here from the Fishing Seaman. So today I decided to give you some sort of additional knowledge. If you're willing to learn more about FJ knot. So FJ knot is very popular. It is the most trusted knot being used when it comes to connecting a braid line and your leader line, especially on jigging. So it is very famous. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you guys my own version of FG knot. So aside from that, I'm also going to show you the AG chain knot. AG chain knot is another famous knot used in jigging. So for the beginners or for the newbies out there who wanted to learn how to tie that knot, so this is a combination of FJ knot and AG chain knot. All right, guys. So let's get started. Show you now how do I rig and do my own version of FG knot. So what I have here is a 65 pound test braid line from Seglin. It's PA times 8, and for my leader line it's the Pioneer Invisible. It's 80 pound. I am familiar with tying FG knot, applying tension. I think it's also good. It's not bad at all. It's another way of tying the FG knot, and I believe that it's on preference. Some people prefer to have tension on their lines while tying the FG knot, it's good for them. But when I learned how to tie the FG knot without applying tension, I realized that it's the most quicker way and it's easiest way, especially when you're doing it in a boat and you get swells. So for me, this is the most convenient way of tying FG knot. Again, to your leader line, you need to at least have 3 to 4 inches long, and then you hold it with your point finger and your thumb. And for your braid line, you have to put it on top of your leader line, so not under but over, on top, right? And you have to go for like 12 inches long on your tag end of your braid line, your main line. So if you can see now, leader line 3 to 4 inches, and on top of that is your braid line 12 inches or a little bit more, probably. That's fine. All right, so there is no tension here, no tension at all. So the first thing to do is excuse me, you need to run over your braid lines into your leader line. Your leader line is staying as it is. You don't have to move it at all. The only thing that you have to move is your braid line, because your braid line is the only one that will wrap into your leader line. So the first move is with your tag end of your braid line, you run it under your leader line, under, and then you pull it over, pull it backward a little bit, so it's like that. And then you go to the main line of your leader line, under again, so you go under again and then over, and then pull it, and then pull it a little backward there. So there, and then you're gonna do that for like myself, I usually go for 12. So that was one, and then I'm gonna go for 2, See that? That's my second one. Okay, so another one for 3. 4. 4. So if you can see there, I have a beautiful formation of braid line on the leader line. So of course, if you want to make adjustments, like you can make adjustments if you want to make it more tight here, you can make the braid line closer to each other. So that's my 4th one, and this is my 5th one. Okay, 6th. 7. Oops. You make sure that you are holding, you're pressing your point finger and your thumb into formation of the braid on the leader. So you make you hold it tight and you put some pressure on it. So 7th, and then I'll go with my 8. 8. Go 9. 9. So if you can see here, look at that. That's how the braid line is being formed, wrapping the leader line. So that's my 9th, then I go with my 10th. So 10th. So again, you start with your tag end line of your braid and your main line of your braid. You run it under the braid and pull it over and a little bit backward. Main line, under, and then over and backward. So I'll show it again just to make sure that you have. So that's my 10th, I guess. So this would be my 11th. So under, over, hold it backward. Under, over, backward. So that's my 11th. Now I'm going for my 12th. Under, over, pull backward. Under, over, backward. Okay, so that's my 12. So if you can see here, it's a good. If you notice that, try to see, it's having a very good wrapped formation on the leader line. So that's a good sign. It means that you're doing it right. All right, so now that I'm done with my 12, the next thing to do is you have to tie a half hitch, both the braid line and the leader line. So you go half hitch. So a half hitch is going over on both braid and the leader line, and then you run your end tug line under. So over both lines here and then under. So a half hitch is going over on both braid and the leader line, and then you run your end tug line under. So over both lines here and then under, and then you go through this circle. So of course I'm going to use my teeth now, sorry. Alright, that's my first hitch. Okay, first half hitch. It's very important that you have to do this because this will somehow lock your wrappings. Okay, so now that I've done with my half hitch on both lines, I'm gonna go half hitch on my braid line on this side. And then I'm gonna go half hitch again on the opposite side. So that's 3 half hitches. So there, I was able to tie it. You have to pull tight your tag end of your braid line and your main line of your braid line. And then now you have locked your wrappings on your leader line, so you can see that. So the next thing to do is you need to pull your main braid line here and your leader line. So you're gonna wrap it to your palm. So I'm gonna pull it now. Okay, pull it as hard as you can. See? So when I'm pulling it up, when I pulled it in opposite sides, you will notice here it somehow made some stretch into the leader line and it locked it up. So that's the beauty of FG knot. This knot is really just amazed me, because you would think that the braid line will somehow slide through your leader line because it's made of fluorocarbon. You know, some people use monofilament, but thinking that the braid will going to slide because you're pulling it on both ends, you know, opposite. So instead of that happening, instead of sliding, it's not sliding at all. What it does is it tightens, the braid line tightens, and it buries, it holds tightly into the leader line. So that's why this knot is really ideal for jigging. I even use this for trolling, guys, just to be honest. So it's more than tight enough. So once you're satisfied with its tightness, then you proceed now with the next steps, and you can see that the braid line buries into the leader line, and the leader line somehow stretched a little bit. So that's a good sign. It means that you have done it correctly. All right, so the next thing is I'm going to do now you can proceed with the next step, which is you have to make sure that your braid line is safe and it won't slide. I usually do a chain knot on both the braid main line and the tug end of my leader line. So chain knot, you know, as just the same as how you do AG chain knot. So half hitch for both leader line and your braid line. So that's one. And then of course the second one, under over. So if you can see here, by looking at that, here, if you can see that, I'm having now a chain knot. And then over, under over. Alright, so third, and then go with my fourth. So over, under, and then under, over. So don't forget that it's a combination. My FJ wrappings is doing well, and at the end of that is my chain knot. So it's perfectly locking your FG chain knot wrappings. So that's my fourth actually, and then I'll go with my fifth. Oh, over under. And then under over. So that's my fifth, and then I'm go again for another one. This is my sixth. I hope you're seeing it clearly, because I'm not too sure with my cameras. So now I'm gonna do under over. All right, one last chain knot. So over under. And then under over. Again, don't forget that would be both your leader line and your braid line. Right, so there you go. You will see that it's perfectly locked in. With this one, you're very sure that your FG knot will withstand the pressure. So that's an assurance that you will get whenever you do the chain knot after your wrappings. And there you can see there's the chain knot. Now that we're done with the chain knot, the next thing to do is you just go for a uni knot. A simple uni knot will do, just to lock the final lockage or the final lock for your braid and your leader line. The final step for your FG knot. Alright, so a uni. So you go both sides, of course. No, you go for both your leader and your braid. So one. Let's see, you go here. Sorry. So I got one here. So two. 3. 4. 5. 5 will do. It's more than enough for me. You pull after 5 turns. You pull your braid tag end line while holding the main line here. Okay, that's it. That's the final step. So now, if you can see, it's really locked up, and you're sure and you're confident that your FG knot will withstand the pressure. So the next thing to do is you cut the ends of both tag ends of your lines or braid line first. So just leave like a few centimeters in there. My cutter is not that good. So see, I have left a little bit of line on my braid. So now I'm going to cut my leader line. So again, this is a 65-pound test of braid line, and my leader is 80-pound test. All right, so the next thing to do, guess what? Yeah, you have to burn these ends here. Of course, when I do this, I usually use the very bottom of the fire, of the flame. So if you can see, at the bottom you have the blue flame there. So don't use the one on top, the yellow one. It's not ideal. Well, this is my own preference. So if you want to go with that, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. So I'm going to burn first the leader line using the very bottom of my fire there. So okay, that's done. And then I'm gonna go with my braid, also using the bottom flame. Some people uses Loctite or strong super glue to cover the entire wrappings, but I sometimes use that, usually before when I'm not so sure with my FG knot. But when I started with this one, my improvised version, I decided not to use the super glue anymore. So that's it. That's my FG knot, my improvised FG knot. I know that some of you may have your own one, may have your own version, and that's really good because, you know, you fish yourself, you jig yourself, and knowing that you have an FG knot that you can trust upon, that's really something for an angler to have, for you to be able to be I'm gonna burn a little bit more on my leader line because it's still have a few more. All right, there you go. 12 wrappings, the first step. 12 wrappings, 3 half hitches, and 7 chain knots, and the final one is 5 turns of uni knot, and then of course burning the tag ends. So that's sturdy enough, and you can be sure that no matter, I mean, if you have 50, 35, 40 to even 50, 60 kilo of fish, with proper handling, of course, that's really important, you are sure that your FG knot will hold on. So now that I'm done with my FG knot, I'm going to proceed now with my EJ chain knot. Hey guys, okay, so now I'm going to proceed on how to rig your AG chain knot. So I have here my leader line. So you go to your swivel, so you go 1, and then you go for 2, so you now have to twice your leader line goes into your swivel. So until you get that proper and tight. Okay, now you start with your chain by going over under and then followed by under over. So that's it, just as simple as that. So I'll start now with my first one. That's over under and then under over. So that's one. Now go with my two. Two. Three. Go with your four. Enough. Three. That's perfect, guys. Look at that. It's perfectly rigged. I love that, right? So always remember, put pressure between your chain and your swivel, or your swivel itself. You hold it tight. But you know, when I'm doing this, I usually go hold on to my jig. So jig here, that's the one I'm holding on while I'm doing the chain knot. Okay, so that's my fourth. As I said, I go for 8. My maximum is 10, to be honest. So if you want to go more than that or less than 8, it's all up to you guys. It's all about preferability. So fourth. Now I'm going to go for my fifth. So again, over, under. And then under, over. So that's fifth and then sixth. Seven. There's my 8. So to end your AJ chain knot, you go either with uni knot. I usually do uni knot like 5 times, 3. That's fine. So let's go with 3. 1, 2, and then 3. Put some there you go, guys. That's my AG chain knot. The good thing about this knot is the chain absorbs the pressure a little bit. Of course, it's not gonna withstand if you're really having a big fish on your line. It depends on how much is your line's capacity, but there it's more sturdier AG chain knot. And of course, to end it all, you have to burn the tug end line. again, using the very bottom of the flame, thus it won't burn your line. So there you go. That's my AJ chain knot. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you have somehow learned. It's all about simple knots that you can actually improvise to make it more sturdier and even more better. But of course, to sum it all up, at the end of the day, you go out there, you fish, you jig, and then you get a big fish, and you manage to land the fish, and it's a big one, and you have this feeling of pride that you're able to land that big fish by only using your own improvised version of the FG knot or the end AG chain knot. It's really something you can be proud of. Of course, you can also stick to the basic or to the original FG knot. That's fine. That's okay. As I said, it's more on your preferability. Whichever you prefer to use, that's fine. As long as you are confident and you trust your knots, that's good enough. So thank you once again, guys, for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe on the Fishing Seaman. So until our next fishing adventure, thank you.